Discover the advantage of unlimited access to all the stories and resources from IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. From insights to inspiration, business leaders rely on the IBJ for all things Indiana business. Start your $1 a week trial now at ibj.com/trial offer.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. I'm Alex Brown. Lilly Endowment has awarded a $3 million matching grant to the Salvation Army Indiana Division to fund several capital projects at the Hidden Falls Camp and Conference Center in Bedford, including a new multi-purpose building that will feature an indoor gymnasium. Salvation Army Division Commander Major Mark Johnson says the grant showcases the camp's impact.
What it means for us is that we can go to the public, to donors, to corporations, to foundations, and say, we have been doing this camping ministry for many decades, and we see the impact it has on the lives of young people especially. And Lilly has given their vote of confidence to say this is important as well.
The organization is now fundraising to secure its $3 million match for the project. Taylor University has received a $10 million gift to develop a plaza in the center of campus with green space, an amphitheater, and an illuminated cross. The gift from the Bond Family Foundation also will fund an endowed concert series and help support the development of a new chapel. Bond Servant Plaza is scheduled for completion in the fall of 2027. The Indiana Restaurant and Lodging Association has announced an official rebrand to Hospitality Indiana. CEO Patrick Tam said the rebrand is designed to be more inclusive and represent the full scope of the different types of businesses that make up Indiana's hospitality sector, beyond just restaurants and hotels. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise@ibj.com to learn more.
Businesses and individuals with overdue Indiana taxes will have their first chance in more than a decade to pay off those bills without penalties. IIB's Aubriana Herron has more.
The Indiana Department of Revenue has set the tax amnesty period to run from July 15th until September 15th. The program has been in the works since legislators instructed the agency in last year's state budget bill to set an 8-week amnesty period to be completed by the end of 2026. Those with delinquent tax liabilities from before January 1st, 2024, who voluntarily pay during the amnesty period won't face civil or criminal penalties, including late payment fees, interest, or collection fees. Indiana had similar amnesty programs in 2005 and 2015. Those who participated in either previous amnesty aren't eligible for the new period. Money collected will be directed to the uses for each type of tax as called for under state law, according to the Department of Revenue. The agency's website says many of the taxes, including an individual income tax, corporate tax, and sales tax, are deposited into the state's general fund to then be allocated to Indiana government activities. That differs from Indiana's last tax amnesty period in 2015, which was used as a way to pay for then Governor Mike Pence's Regional Cities Economic Development Program. Estimates on how much money the state could collect from this year's amnesty have varied by wide margins. The state's nonpartisan Legislative Services Agency has projected that state tax collections could total between $156 million to $277 million. Aubriana Herron, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Witham Health Services, which provides medical services to residents throughout Boone County, announced today that it has signed a non-binding letter of intent to join Fort Wayne-based Parkview Health later this year. Lebanon-based Witham is a county-run hospital with about 12,000 employees, including about 100 physicians and advanced practice providers such as nurse practitioners. The agreement to join Parkview is subject to successful completion of due diligence, regulatory approvals, and final authorization from the Boone County Commissioners in Boone Boone County Council. In the United States, there is only one audiologist for every 24,000 people in urban areas, and the picture is even worse in rural areas. That's why Purdue University is rolling into Indiana's agricultural communities with its mobile hearing unit van to help Hoosiers battle hearing loss and the quiet connection it has to major health issues. Dr. Michael Hines is head of speech, language, and hearing sciences at Purdue.
We all know people with hearing loss tend to withdraw from society. They're not involved in conversations, and you can see how that would lead to, depression, the kind of, and also you're not using your brain as much, and so the early cognitive decline. It certainly makes sense that they're tied together.
The van is designed to detect hearing loss, not treat it. But when the Purdue team travels to each community, they compile a list of the closest clinics where people can get hearing aids. Indiana's storied basketball history is the subject of this week's Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand.
Hi, I'm Dave Neff, host of Talent Scout. On this show, we shine a light on Indiana's next generation of leaders who are making a difference in business, community, and civic life. These are real conversations about purpose, mentorship, and building a future that matters. Join me as we invest in leadership that lasts. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast app or listen at ibjpodcasts.com. Your commute just got smarter. Turn drive time into growth time. The IBJ Media Podcast Network gives you front row access to leaders shaping Indiana's economy, culture, and future. No filler, just smart, relevant, local storytelling you won't get anywhere else. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit ibjpodcasts.com.